Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Practicing the Art of Being Present, your key to living a life of love, joy, and prosperity. In part 1, we talked about how to turn your life into a sanctuary. We talked about why and the value of turning your life into a personal sanctuary. And today we're going to talk about how to create a power hour, how to plug into your source of power every day so you will have the courage, the resilience, and the power within you to create this life of love, joy, and prosperity. Before we go into today's work, I want to show you a clip from The View from a few years ago. It's a conversation with Jaron Lanier. Jaron Lanier is a computer scientist. He's more than a computer scientist. He is known as the father of virtual reality. And he's being interviewed on The View about his thoughts about the need to take a break from social media. And I think he's got some very important information to impart to you. And one other thing I'll tell you is that I got to know Jaron in the 90s when I had a cafe in Lower Manhattan, and he lived around the corner. He was a regular customer of mine, and he would come in frequently and to enjoy our food, and we enjoyed his company. And he's just a delightful man with tremendous insight, and he's a genius. And he is a big, beautiful, loving human being. And I think you're going to enjoy listening to what he has to say about social media. So take a look.
While you're watching us, you need to put the damn phone down and listen up, because our next guest has written an incredible book about how much it's wrecking our lives. Please welcome author of 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now, Jaron Lanier. Jaron, the book lays out 10 really great ideas of how we can take care of ourselves, but you say that the media companies have one goal in mind, and that's to change our behavior. What does that mean?
Yeah, okay, so you know how these services are free, you log on to Facebook, it's free. So the reason it's free is that there's like somebody else off to the side who's paying, but it's not like when a TV ad, it's a different kind of ad. They're paying to modify your behavior because you're being constantly watched, and then what you see, the ads you see, the feed you get is constantly adjusted using techniques that have been established by scientific research for over a century to get you addicted and then to get you to change a little bit. And you know, the problem with that is that addiction has consequences. It makes people cranky, it makes them irritable. And when we talk about bullying, it's a side effect of this process. You know, so until the companies can change their business model to something else, this is going to keep on happening. And that doesn't mean the good stuff on social media isn't real. It is. But there's this other machine behind the scenes that is really doing a lot of damage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked earlier in Hot Topics about online bullying. Why is it that more hasn't been done to control or to get rid of some of this behavior online?
Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing. So I'm a Silicon Valley guy. I do companies. I love Silicon Valley. And all my friends there don't let their kids use the products that we make.
That's shocking.
Yeah. And you know, as a father, I'm trying to cut a middle ground because I don't want to create a rebellious kid. I want them to find their own lessons. But, you know, it really comes down to the stupid business model. You know, like as long as anytime two people connect, the only way we make money is if there's a third person off to the side, sometimes like a weird intelligence warfare unit reporting to Mr. Putin, but whoever it is, there's always somebody out there. There's always somebody out there trying to get into the middle of your business, and it makes you a little nervous, it makes you a little sad, it makes you anxious, it makes you insecure, but that's part of the game. See, every addict has that problem. Every single addict goes through that cycle. Whether it's a drug or gambling, that's always part of the deal. Yeah.
So what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's what I'm asking people to do. I know a lot of people feel like they couldn't possibly quit, and I know a lot of people are addicted, and I know there's no place to go, and all your friends are there, and your family photos and all that. I realize I'm in a way asking for something hopeless, and yet all it takes is a small minority of the country to get off this thing, just to get some perspective, to open up the conversation. Look, we have a president who's addicted. I don't know if any of you knew him in the old days. I knew him before he had...
Yeah, we know him.
Yeah, he didn't used to be quite as insecure, quite as cranky, quite looking for a fight all the time. That's his addiction talking. All right. And so the thing is, until
What's he addicted to? Power?
Twitter.
he's addicted to Twitter.
And a lot of other things.
Well, he always was addicted to power. Power isn't the same kind of thing, because power isn't playing a deliberate game with you. See, behind the scenes at companies like Twitter and Facebook, there's actually computer programs playing a game with you to make you that way.
Let me ask you something. Is he addicted to lying also?
You know,
He seems to be addicted to that.
I'd say he's more addicted to lying than he used to be. I think he's always been a bit of a con man, let's
He's
say.
raised the ante.
He's always had a bit of that thing about him, but he didn't used to be this bad.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like this is his addiction talking, and this is going to keep on happening until we can see. And you know, the other thing I want to say is, young people, they have to. The greatest gift that you can have for yourself is self-knowledge, and until you can at least experience life outside of the manipulation machine, you can't know yourself as well. So at least while you're young, take 6 months off the stuff, and then you can decide. I don't know you. I don't know what's best for you, but you have to know yourself.
She's freaking out.
I'm so sorry. 6 months is a very long time, and I believe that technology is killing me, and I think everything you're saying is 100% valid. But what do you say to someone like me? I mean, I met my husband on Twitter, so
there are good things about it.
The good things are totally real. Nobody would deny that. And see, this is what's so, it's like a sandwich of good and bad, but the thing is, we don't need the bad stuff. So, yeah, I'm asking you, it's a huge investment, 6 months to learn about yourself. I know, it's a lot, but, you know, all I can say is, I think if you do it, you'll really find it worth
You know,
it.
there are a lot of good
agree.
things,
Sorry.
but there are some bad things, and they happened in the last election with Facebook and Twitter and the interference from Russia, for example. What are we doing now to prevent that?
You know,
How do we
we're doing
safeguard?
squat to prevent it from happening. You know, and you know why? It's because as long as the whole system is run on this like manipulation in secret, it's like rolling out a red carpet to all the worst people in the world. You know, and honestly, a lot of the folks at the companies are good people. They're my friends, and they're doing their best to do little tiny changes, like they'll try to get rid of the fake people, but they can't.
You have to come back. It's that simple. You have to come back because it wasn't enough. Thanks to Jared Lanier, members of the audience. Honey, y'all are getting the book. I'm telling you.
Well, I'll let that speak for itself, but I think you get the reason why I'm so clear about my want for you to take a recess from social media. We're here on this journey to get to know ourselves better, to understand the meaning of life, and it's really hard with social media, so ingrained in that definition. So there's one of the experts, one of the inventors. Let's pay attention to what he has to say. So, enough said. Let's get on with today's coursework. I'm looking forward to it. Are you ready to step into your power? Practicing the art of being present, your morning power hour. This is the center of your day. Meditation and contemplative prayer. Contemplative prayer is a meditative form of prayer with the intention of discovering the truth of who and what we are and claim our power. As I've said before, contemplatives are people who are called to having a better sense of the meaning of life, the meaning of their life. And contemplative prayer is the tool, if you will, is the technique for going inside of ourselves to discover more deeply and more clearly who and what we are. And I want you to consider it this way. I want you to consider this morning practice, this morning power hour, as a mandatory daily meeting with your new life boss, which just happens to be the creator of the universe, which just happens to be within you, and which just happens to be the most loving, nurturing, and creative force in the universe ever. Pretty good boss to have. And can you imagine the power you're going to get if you're going to connect with that and create an intimate, loving relationship with the creative force of the universe? So it's not the only way we can connect, because we're always connected. It's the most intentional way to connect for us to plug in so we can actually begin to live our lives, every day of our lives, every moment of our lives, plugged into this enormous source of power. And that's such a fun and exciting way to live. People often ask me, how long is a morning power hour? Well, it's an hour. The morning power hour is an hour broken down as I'm going to show you right now. And I'll say this, I know you're coming up with excuses, but if you will just give yourself the discipline for 90 days to put on this new habit, you will discover a part of yourself that you did not even know existed, and you will discover a sense of power within yourself and a sense of joy and a sense of freedom you did not know was there. You will shift from constantly worrying about all the not enoughs and begin to realize every morning you have everything you need. You have an abundance of time and resources right here at your fingertips to create this life of love, joy, and prosperity. Now here's what we're going to do. You're going to disrupt your routine every day by waking up just a little bit earlier. Wake up at least 30 minutes before you typically get up. Even if you already have a meditation practice, get up a little earlier. Wake up early to disrupt your morning wake-up routine for this particular exercise. For the next 90 days, we're going to be able to create something brand new together with this. We're going to begin to practice the art of being present with this, a brand new practice. After the 90 days over, and actually during the 90 days, you're going to find that presence is going to become more involved in the development of this practice. And it will become uniquely yours. But until we get there, just follow this to the T, okay? Wake up a little bit earlier. Now, this is the easiest part. The first 10 minutes, as I said before, the first 7 minutes of how you spend your day will set the tone for the rest of your day. And if you're like me, it's hard to get out of bed. I wake up with vultures on the bedpost. So I want to make that transition as easy and simply and seamless as possible. So this is what I want you to do. No phones, no news, no TV. Take care of business. Get your favorite beverage, coffee, tea, whatever it is, and go and sit and relax and be still. Just be for 10 minutes and listen. Become aware of the emotions in your body and the thoughts in your head and welcome them all without judgment. Just sit and look at the day opening up. Look at the beautiful sunrise. Listen to the sounds of the morning. Become a part of it. Allow yourself to become present to now. This is practicing the art of being present. And you start with just simply being still and being present for 10 minutes. Now the next 10 minutes are going to be a little active. You're going to embody the spirit with movement. So for the next 10 minutes, I want you to do something simple that doesn't require a lot of setup and effort. Maybe you want to stretch. Maybe you have a yoga routine, such as the sun salutation seen in this picture. Maybe you just want to do a combination of sit-ups and push-ups or some exercises. Anything to get air into your lungs and energy into your body. You know what? You could even find some good disco music from the 80s and just dance your little heart out for 10 minutes and have some fun. It doesn't have to be difficult. Matter of fact, it shouldn't be. It should be something fun and inspiring to move spirit into the body. Now, for the next 10 minutes, to open those neuro pathways to accepting meditation and contemplative prayer, we're going to bombard your mind with spiritual truth and wisdom. The human mind can be and will be a wonderful servant once it begins to surrender. Truth is the fuel of love, the way fear is to ego. And truth and love will always win. Here is a list of 5 books. Pick one. Pick one. Go maybe look at all of them and pick the one that resonates with you and start reading it and stick with it. Because what it does, it begins to give your mind a new way of seeing the spiritual. It begins to help it. It opens up the pathway, if you will, to the blockages that might be getting in your way to meditation. I know that for myself, when I was at Ground Zero, I found Pema Chodron's book on meditation, and it was so helpful for me because it provided some frame of reference, some way of getting my human mind to be open to the idea of the meditation practice that was going to follow it. And that's the purpose of this. It's to open up the neurological pathways in our brain, if that's the right word. I'm not even sure it is, but it's to open up the pathways in our brains to be more acceptable to meditation and contemplative prayer. Now here's the core. Meditation and contemplative prayer. For the next 20 minutes, and I know this is going to sound tough, for the next 20 minutes, you're going to get still and you're going to listen. And there's all sorts of forms of contemplative prayer and meditation, but this one is going to be very intentional about simply getting still and listening. There are many ways to pray and meditate. But this particular contemplative practice is an opportunity to do the following. It's very simple. Get still. Allow your mind to get still. Really still. Let go of any thoughts you have in the moment. Surrender any concerns you have. Let them go. And listen. We stop, we get still, we let go, and we listen. You stop, get still, let go, and listen. I'm going to make it easy for you. Every day at noon, I lead a contemplative prayer power hour on Facebook Live. Now, I don't want you doing this at noon. You can do it at noon as well. But I want this to be the beginning of your day for the first 90 days. I still do a morning power hour. But if you want to learn, you are welcome to. And this could become a big part of your daily practice if you wanted it to be. Every day I do these live meditations on Facebook. And I keep the replay. I would suggest, particularly if you're new to meditation and new to contemplative prayer, that you go and you download the replays and you make this part of your practice. This could be everything from the reading through the meditation, because that's what I do during the power hour. I talk about it. I talk about spiritual truths. I talk about spiritual wisdom based on something I'm reading, and then we meditate for 20 minutes. I recommend that that's what you do. You go and you can get them. If you're not on Facebook, you can get them on YouTube as well. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and they're all there. All my daily meditations are there for you to lose. I would use those to start with. And finally, after you finish meditating, I'm going to suggest you do this. Take out your journal and write about your feelings and what you're discovering about yourself. Have some time of reflection. And don't worry about what you write. Just write whatever's coming up in the moment. Maybe you're feeling agitated. Sometimes people think meditation is about going into bliss. I've had moments when I have felt so agitated, and that's okay. Just accept that's what came up that day. Meditation is not trying to achieve any kind of state. Meditation is trying not to achieve anything. It's a process of letting go of a need to achieve something. It's a process of just simply being still and allowing whatever is present to be present and listening to what's coming up. And then finally, conclude by putting your hands on your heart and saying, I am a creative genius. Not me. Now we add the not me so as not to give our ego the wrong message. The great I am is with a capital I. It is the divine self. It is the God self within all of us. It is not the little I, the me called Martin. So my mantra when I meditate is, I am not me. And it comes from, be still and know that I am God. But I don't want my ego mind getting confused. So I make it very clear. I'm a creative genius, but not me. And then say, I am infinite intelligence, not me. I am pure love consciousness, not me. I am worth far more than all the money in the world. Yes, me too. This is true for the whole you, the mind, the body, and the spirit. You are the miracle of a human being and worth more than all the money in the world. So claim it. Claim it, because we live in a culture of scarcity and not enough that tells you you're not worth. But I'm telling you every day after your power hour to claim your worth. Now, if you really want this thing to power up, if you really want this to work, commit to 90 days and find an accountability partner. Power up your 90 days with an accountability party. This is too hard, particularly if it's new to you. Find someone that you love and you care about, that loves and cares about you, and finds this might be a journey for them. And if you don't know someone in your world yet, again, join the Financial Mystic Sanctuary Facebook group and ask for an accountability partner. I'll bet you'll find one there. I bet you as you begin to move in these circles of other spiritual seekers, other people who are learning to love themselves, who've been called to understanding a deeper meaning of their life in this life, you're going to find all the accountability partners there are people who are going to welcome you as their accountability partner. But you got to ask. You got to put a little effort into it. And what you do, this is the formula. This is what you're going to do. When you complete your power hour, it says if you complete your power hour, but I'm going to say you're going to do it. But so when you complete your power hour, I want you to send your accountability partner. Send a text to your accountability partner, Power Hour Complete Day 1. On day 2, you're going to say, Power Hour Complete Day 2. Because the 90 days are 90 consecutive days. There's meaning in those 90 days, and there's meaning in the fact that they need to be consecutive, and there's meaning in the fact that you may have to reset. It's not about the outcome. It's what you're going to learn about yourself in the practice of the 90 days. It's what you're going to discover about yourself during those 90 days. What you can accept and what you're resistant to. It's the practice itself. It's the doing of it that you're going to discover a deeper meaning of life for yourself and for others. I'm going to give you a little wiggle room here. I understand that life events come up. You may have an emergency one morning, but I don't want to give you too much wiggle room. But if you don't have time for a full hour, do the 20-minute meditation and send your partner a text that says Power Hour Partial Day 3. You don't count the partial days as anything different. It's all part of the continuous 90-day period. And you get 10 of those during the 90 days. I wouldn't take more than 10. I would do less than 10. Because if you're doing this more than not, something is missing in the practice. This is to give you some wiggle room and to acknowledge that you made your best effort to get to your power hour and you just didn't have time for everything, but you did get to the meat of it and you did get your meditation done. So you send out a text to your partner saying Power Hour Partial Day number 4. And then the next day when you complete it, you'd say Power Hour Complete Day 5. Power Hour Complete Day 6, and so forth and so on. Keep it to 10 if you can. Now, we learn from our failures. I wish life weren't so challenging, but we do learn from our failures. And you're probably going to have to restart 1, 2, maybe even 3 times. And if you fall off, don't go all crazy on yourself. Look at what happened without blame and shame and simply reset. The power of this 90-day program is not the outcome. It is the practice and the process and what you learn about yourself. So when you have a day where you didn't do it, you blew it off, don't make any big deal of it. Just simply send a text to your partner and say, Power Hour not done. Restarting day count tomorrow. And the next day when you complete it, you'll say Power Hour complete day 1. And you're going to reset your 90 days again. And you're going to do this probably 2 or 3 times, by the way. Don't beat yourself up. It's part of the learning process. Share your milestones and victories by joining our private Facebook group. Celebrate your victories at 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And finally, I say it again, join our group. We want you part of our community. The community wants you, and we'd love to have you. So go ahead and join our group today.